So Bitcoin has been on fire. We have seen BTC rallying up massively over the last kind of 24, 48 hours or so, and we've seen some really good gains across the market. In today's video, we're going to be jumping down into my thoughts on what I think is going on here when it comes to the crypto market and where I think things are heading next. As I get into this video, and if you do enjoy the scenery here in a very cold, crisp United Kingdom, smash that like button. I do appreciate that. If you are new to the channel, why not go ahead and subscribe? And guys, if you're not yet in the Discord, you're missing a trick. Check it out. Link is in the description down below. Right, let's get right down into today's video and the subject matter of cryptocurrency. We have seen Bitcoin rallying on up quite nicely, touching into that 44k range, and I don't think it's done just yet. I still see the potential for Bitcoin to rally up even further. Now, if you followed this morning's video, I'm looking at an overextension within a fifth wave of a fifth wave movement, which essentially puts Bitcoin between $44,000 and $45,000, actually edging slightly higher than 45k. That is kind of where I think we're likely to start to see some heavier resistance than what we're finding right now. Now, with Bitcoin pushing up the way that it has done, that has been fantastic for the portfolio. Now, depending on how invested you are, maybe you've been waiting for a pullback to really kind of throw your spare dry powder at the market, or maybe you've kind of been dollar cost averaging through 2022 and early 2023. Either way, portfolios, generally speaking, are actually looking quite healthy, driven mainly from a few altcoins. And in today's video, we'll jump on a few of them. So it's depending on, try to get you guys out of the light a little bit there. So depending on what you're invested in, you've probably seen a bit of growth. Now, if you're kind of new to the channel, maybe some of these altcoins are not ones that you're familiar with. Maybe you haven't kind of jumped on into, but maybe you have, and maybe you found them outside of CC, right? And if that is the case, then, you know, fantastic on you. Join us in Discord for even more gems and stuff like that. Now, we've seen 𝗕𝗘𝗪𝗧𝗕𝗪 rally up really, really nicely. I get asked in the Discord quite a few times as to whether we think, you know, we're going to see a significant pullback. Do I sell? Do I buy back later? All those kind of things. Now, 𝗕𝗘𝗪 has rallied up quite nicely. It's performed quite well, and I still expect us to kind of see a bit more to the downside there. I don't think we're necessarily done just yet with the price appreciation though. So I do still think that 𝗕𝗘𝗪 can push up, and then I do expect us to move on down. Now, would I be selling my 𝗕𝗘𝗪 in the hopes of buying back? No. I think there's high risk, and just at this particular stage in the cycle, not something that I would do personally. Ultimately, for me, I would just be looking at building or adding to that position, not necessarily looking at this as an opportunity to sell and buy back in. 𝗕𝗘𝗪 has performed well. I still see it potentially pushing up a little bit more, but unfortunately it is not one that has a lot of data, or really actionable data that can be charted, meaning that I'm not really expecting there to be any charts that make sense right now. The best pairing that I can find, I think, is on BNB, so it's not really giving us that kind of good kind of, you know, USDT or stablecoin analysis. So it's really quite difficult to kind of get a good idea as to kind of where we think, you know, 𝗕𝗘𝗪𝗧𝗕𝗪 could be going. But it's performed well, and in the portfolio it's climbed up above a few other altcoins, at least for myself, and probably for loads of other people who are invested in 𝗕𝗘𝗪 as well. Now, it is super soggy out here today, and I'm trying not to fall over. So if I do fall over, make sure you smash the like button and appreciate the comedy gold that would be. But ultimately, for me, I think we've seen some pretty good growth across 𝗕𝗘𝗪𝗧𝗕𝗪. Now, other projects that have performed insanely well most recently, 𝗕𝗪𝗪. Now, 𝗕𝗪𝗪 is not one that I have exposure to. I think we've kind of had the opportunity to get into there, you know, a little bit earlier, but it wasn't really one for us at the time. Ultimately, it's performed incredibly well. Now, obviously, it's a DAG, unlike you know, most other altcoins and stuff like that, but it's performed very, very well nonetheless. Now, 𝗕𝗪𝗪's performing well. I still think it's going to continue to perform well into that next bullish market as well, so it's always great to have some exposure. It's not one for me personally. I think if you have got early exposure to that one, then you're going to do phenomenally well. Now, of course, the other altcoin that I do have exposure to and that has performed insanely well is 𝗗𝗏. 𝗗𝗏 is a layer 2, and you guys know how I feel about layer 2 protocols into this next bullish market. And so an Ethereum or virtual machine, an EVM compatible layer 2 for near protocol, 𝗗𝗏 has performed insanely well, pushing up to 70 cent most recently from its most recent lows of around, I think, 6 to 7 cents, somewhere in that range. I can't remember the exact number. And I had a lot of exposure, way too much, because I accidentally forgot how much USDT I had in my account. And well, I just deployed all the USDT I had on 𝗗𝗏 when it was sub 10 cent. And well, that was a very happy accident, I have to say. And again, just kind of testament to making sure you're not overly tired when you're doing these things and you're paying attention to the detail. But ultimately, that's been a very good accident for me because I've performed incredibly well. I have sold 2/3, the 2/3 that I overexposed myself to it, and have made some really, really good gains. I sold way too early though, but that's okay because it's about dollar cost averaging out of the market in the same way that you would dollar cost average into the market. I've made good profit and I'm not sad about that. So I think 𝗗𝗏 as a layer 2 on near protocol is going to perform very, very well. And so when we talk about kind of Bitcoin rallying on and up and altcoins kind of going alongside it, there's definitely been a few standout projects recently, 𝗕𝗘𝗪𝗧𝗏, 𝗕𝗘𝗪𝗧𝗏 and so forth. And it's only really testament to kind of giving you a bit of a taster as to what is to come. If we take a look at Bitcoin rallying up to $44,000, all-time high at 69,000, altcoins really haven't even got started yet. And that gets me very, very excited. And so there was a question in the Discord server that I thought was very interesting. Do we think that the bull market has started? And well, it's an interesting question. It's again a question that is not actually that easy to answer because everyone kind of wants to think of it as a true or false statement. It is binary, as in it is or it isn't, right? And it's true and false to a degree, but only to the pairs in which you relate the question to. And what I mean by that is Bitcoin in a bullish market, or is, let's say, 𝗕𝗃𝗪 in a bullish market? Is 𝗕𝗃𝗪 in a bullish market? Right? What you can't do is basically just put that bull market kind of status on absolutely everything. There are many altcoins that I would say, no, they're not in a bullish market yet. That's not to say that they won't eventually get there. And then, of course, there are some altcoins that I say, yeah, they look like they have now entered a bullish phase. Okay, and we're in the very early stages of this. Now, this initial surge to the upside essentially would just be classified as the beginning of the move, okay, a beginning of a bullish market, meaning that you still have to have some healthy retracements to the downside before you can even start to get into that parabolic run. So Bitcoin's push to 44 is very, very interesting. $44,000 Bitcoin basically puts it into that kind of territory of the first surge before we actually get to cool off down and go into the next parabolic run, which basically means, yeah, Bitcoin looks like it's in a bullish market now. I'm pretty confident on that. That's not to say that we won't have cheaper prices though. I do expect prices to come on down. I've kind of detailed this out a number of different times in lots of different ways, trying to kind of convey my point across. I do expect a large pullback in the market. And I think most people are now because nothing goes up in straight lines. Now we've been on bullish weeks for 8 weeks in consecutively, which basically is on the extreme end of how long you can be bullish for or have green weeks printed on your charts. So Bitcoin to me looks like it's getting ready to kind of cool off. It's looking like it's ready to kind of pull back, and it's going to kind of take the altcoins down with it to a degree. And so, you know, I've said it before, 40 to 50% on Bitcoin and kind of 50 to 60% on altcoins. That may vary, that's kind of a ballpark figure, might not be as much as that, but for the most part, gives you a bit of an idea as to kind of where price is and where price could be heading. You know, there's lots of support levels to be found on the way down as well, so we don't expect to kind of see instantaneous drops, you know, where, you know, you're up here at 44K one week and then you're straight down to 25, you know, the next week. I expect it to kind of be a little bit slow for the start and maybe speed up as we go into 2024. But it'll be interesting nonetheless because it is a good indication that the markets are ready for a bull run. And that bull run is going to be very, very good. It's going to be very, very lucrative, and it's going to take us to some really good heights, I think, in the portfolio. So I kind of wanted to put a video out there to say and kind of answer a few questions in relation to what kind of altcoins I have exposure to, what ones are performing well, and answer a couple of those questions around whether or not we think we're in a bullish market. If you have found this video useful, informative, maybe go ahead and smash that like button for me. I really do appreciate that. If you are new to the channel, why not go ahead and subscribe, tap the bell, select all the notifications, and in doing so, you will be kept up to date with everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. And if you haven't yet joined us in Discord, what are you waiting for? Check it out. Link is in the description down below. Until the next one though, guys, have a fantastic day. Hi and welcome back to the channel. That's a really bad intro. Scrap it and start again. We have seen some pretty decent price appreciation on Bitcoin, touching up at that 20. So let's get right down into the meats of today's video.